President Uhuru Kenyatta, he sighs as I'm going into politics. President Uhuru Kenyatta, in a raw expression of anger, once again hit out at politicians, especially those from his central Kenya backyard, engaged in 2022 election campaign, saying he will not sit by as they undermined his leadership. And this is what part of what he said yesterday at a gathering at Kasarani.
Omothe ne nguga na ndaria na ruga itu na no guthiururuka gwitu na ni ngwira andu mikore no tuthurite tureta siasa matigecirie nie ndi kihi kiao matigecirie nie ndi kihi na twaigua na matikundugamia barabara iria ndithondekeire iria ndirenda gukinya na kuria ndirenda gutwara andu aitu na kuria ndirenda kumakinyia giki gitige gutinda gikingia guku maki ene twaiguithania tondu manyonaga ngirite uguo mageciria ne kuga ndoigire ndirenda siasa ine murachigua mundu agikorwo wi mwecimiwa coka gicagi gwaku wake cukuru wikirire andu thitima na mbeca irio hetwo tiga guku guthiururuka ugitwiraga uria ukaneneha gutire kundu ugathie utari na andu aya umere wa Jomo no werugamiriire na ni arugamiriire bururi na gutira kindu gia kumakia mundu.
So anyway, if it wasn't for the translation, I would have been lost there. And I believe some will correct us with the errand boy translation, but it's words that I can't repeat here. But quick reactions. We'll have this discussion on Sidebar definitely tomorrow. So you have this particular headline by The Standard, Angry Uhuru warning to Ruto team, and another one, Furious Uhuru, this is from the Daily Nation, Furious Uhuru breaks ranks with rebel MPs. Do we exaggerate some of these roadside declarations or spats that we have from the politicians? I'll start with Julie. You seem like you're about to tear in rage or something, or laughter, I don't know. But I'll start with you. We're just giving quick reactions to this in the role that we play in putting this out there.
I think we do on normal days, but I don't think that was a normal day.
Right.
I mean, the president was visibly angry, as he is very often, making unspecified threats, seeming very emotional, if I might say. So I think that was newsworthy to hear what he was saying. Unfortunately, he was saying much of the same. Trying to restate that he's the president. We all know that. If you have to restate that so many times, then that kind of calls into question if you really think you're the president.
Right.
And then the tone of voice and the anger and the lashing out and the threats, we're used to seeing that. What I'd be interested to know is what's going to happen next. And I'm willing to bet that it'll be a while before we see what's going to happen. An interesting thing was Ruto's response, because he stood up and said, Mr. President, you've made me the man I am today, and I'm going to work to fulfill our agenda. And it was very interesting to me for him to say that he's the man he is today, thanks to the president, because the implications of that are very broad.
Right.
What kind of man is he? But I think generally, with the whole 2022 coverage, which started in 2017, we've taken it overboard. Every single day is 2022.
And you also told me that you switched off a while back. I
completely switched off. I watched this because you asked me to.
Yes, and with the tone that we take it, or the interpretation, Angry Uhuru warning to Ruto team, and I believe even this one, if you read further, it will go into the directing this to Ruto. Are we, causing a fight or divide that's not necessarily there, in your view?
First, I would say, from the body language and from what he said, even the way he chose to use mother tongue, it's enough that was enough signal that he was not happy.
Yes.
And for me, that is for the first time he speaks for me, because I also feel depressed when every day we wake up, it's politics, tanga, kitaeleweka, kimeeleweka, kieleweke, all the time. It's annoying, because at some point we need to get to, do some work. And he told them to go back to their constituencies and build schools and build toilets and build and connect them to electricity. So for me, at some point, we need to get down to work. But this is too much. I mean, it's depressing to just see politics today and politics tomorrow and 5 years and 5 years. Yeah, I wish I could talk like him in another form.
Well, I mean, we can't quite repeat some of the words, and we can't say it here on air. I'll be in trouble. Watima, any responsibility on our part? And this makes for great TV and even, you know, good sales of our paper, because you can expect this to be the story of the week, the response from the Ruto team, and back and forth and back and forth. Anything wrong with that?
I don't think there is nothing wrong with reporting such a kind of a thing, because you look at, he's trying to say that we should not engage in politics. But what exactly he's doing is engaging in politics itself. So there's a right of reply for everyone who is trying to, who thinks that the message was for him. Yes. And so it's a serial thing that you're trying to create, and so there's a cycle about it. So it's something that media, of course, will report, because you look at the expression, everything that he was doing, the body language and everything, you can tell that somebody is hungry here, and so you need to report something. Yes. So, but you expect that a right of reply will come from somewhere. So exactly. The chain of events take effect immediately. But the last thing is that Chinua Achebe has a saying that, if I paraphrase, that a tiger does not go around announcing its tigritude, it pounces. Yes. So if you're a leader and you announce that I'm the president, it might mean on the contrary, because everyone knows that fact. Right. But when you try to say it out, there's a problem somewhere that you're trying to cover. Right. Yeah.
Okay, you've made the comment on that. I'd like us to move to the other issue, and that is a story that's also caught a lot of our attention in terms of our newsrooms, and this is on the twins. And I believe we've all heard it, whether you're in business news, whether you're in sports news, we've all followed it, because it's quite something. They met, or at least they found each other on social media, and found out that they're actually twin sisters. The families of twins separated at birth now say they've forgiven the hospital responsible for the mix-up that saw the two girls raised by separate families, Melvis, Melon, and Sharon. Actually, Melvis was found not to be related to the two, that is Melon and Sharon, the identical twins, but they say they have accepted the results and will not be going their separate ways. And they spoke at the tail end of a months-long process to find out the truth about their paternity. Let's find out a bit of what they had to say earlier.
Way forward.
I have accepted the DNA results the way they have appeared. And what I want to say to the world, that let this story of ours be a lesson to all the parents, because we don't know how many parents are living with children who are not theirs.
Tuishi pamoja, tusikuje tukatengana, tukae as a family.
We definitely wish them all the best as they surge forward as a family. And she said that, Sharon said, let this story be a lesson to other parents. Can this story and how it was told be a lesson to media houses and how we handled it? Perhaps you probably switched off at some point from media houses and news, but you've probably seen how we've covered this. Yeah. Are you, from a journalistic point of view, from a humane point of view, from a lawyer's point of view, okay with how this was handled?
I thought the story is... I liked the story.
Yes.
It's heartwarming in the end, but I thought the packaging of it could have been different. It's a perfect human interest story that would target people's hearts, like in a packaged as a feature, not as part of the news. If we went back to the hospital in Kakamega and said this is where they were born and showed the babies, went to their houses and did like an all-rounded story about these girls and their mothers. Because during that press conference, you could see one of the women didn't seem to be very happy. Yes. Why was she not happy? The girls seem to have made up what's their relationship like. When they go to school, they're doing their Form 4. You know, give a broader picture of who they are from a human interest perspective. Mm-hmm. I think what struck people the most, because it was a news story in the beginning, I believe, mm-hmm. that they look alike and what's the results of their DNA, and then the story went dead. I think it wasn't until social media started rumbling about what happened to those girls that it was picked up again. But more should have been done to go more in depth and just tell a really nice story like you see on CNN or BBC or wherever, even locally in Kenya, a feature story that really gives you all the answers you want all at once. Right. Less of the spokesman that I saw there and more of their own voices. Okay. And perhaps not in a setting that is very press conference-y.
Yes, there's pressure.
Yes, just in like a home setting, a day in the life type vibe. Right. But other than that, I thought it was an interesting story. But there was too much, they were really exposed to the spotlight harshly, you know? Like 1 minute they were not, the next minute they were, everybody knew who they were, and maybe they were not prepared for that exposure. So I don't know how far we can go as journalists to explain to people that once your story is out there, your story is out there. People are going to know who you are. Prepare them. Get their full consent on all the issues. This is what's likely to happen. Do you agree to this if it happens? Take into consideration their age. If they're young girls, they might not even understand what you're telling them. So how do you communicate with them? And also, is it in the public interest? Do we need to know that these twins were separated at birth? And if so, how can we make it into a story that appeals? And like she says, is a lesson to parents, you know, or hospitals. Because what happened at the hospital? How did that happen?
That's actually another bigger story that people say. It doesn't die there. It's probably a bigger story to tell in this particular incident. I'm not expecting you to be following this up. You're busy with the SGR contract.
Markla is very sexist. Please retract
No, I'm just saying he is from the business desk. He's a business journalist, but he's still a human being who has interest in such a story. In your view, what's the next thing? Does it end here?
No, it doesn't end here, and I agree with her that putting them so much in the limelight might not be the best idea. But now going forward is back to the hospitals, not just the hospital where they were born, but other hospitals. What happens with that babies get exchanged? And I really feel for them when they say, you know, some parents could be living with children who are not their own. And so maybe, Mark, you were born to stay in the US and you're here in because things happen when you were born. Or you live in Runda and you're supposed to be in Kibera. And
that's good fortune.
So those things happen. But that is sad. That is sad. And I think that's the next level of taking it to the hospitals and finding out. And the more we report about it, probably they'll reform and make sure those things never happen again.
Something just crossed my mind because most women believe that your baby is your baby. Because you know, you pushed it out or it was taken out, whatever, you just feel that this is my baby. In that case, it wasn't, you know. So what about that whole emotional, mental thing they have to go through? You've been raising this child as your own for all these years. And then it turns out that it's not yours.
So there's many angles to it that we need to continue pursuing, but there's very little that we can do in terms of controlling the life it takes in social media. You know the jokes that come on, and especially after this broke, the jokes that come out. That's really not our place, but there's what we can control as the newsroom and journalists.
That's a tough
just from your no. You just agree with it, but then from your view as an audience, I mean, you're an economist as well. I mean, your focus is different, but this touches anyone, from wherever you get this story.
There is little that you can control out there. Information is not something you control. So
but from the holistic picture, how the story was told.
I agree with everything that Julia said. The story is nice. It's a very nice story. But the packaging itself. I think they expose these young girls to the media limelight, and I'm not sure how they will handle it after. And you know, the backlash that comes with media limelight, I think that's one of the biggest problems that they will need to handle, especially with the kind of story that has been brought up around them. The backlash itself on how people respond, not people respond positively, but the people who respond negatively. So at that age that they're in, how do you handle that issue? But the other issue would be, is it a systemic problem or are you experiencing? But that would be the question for journalists. So is it a systemic problem? If it's a systemic problem, that what are the kind of laws that we have that are able to curb such a kind of a thing?
And just a quick comment. You know, when Julie says, we've started 2022 politics in 2017, former president once said, I used to say, siasa mbaya, maisha mbaya. Can that be the understanding here? The politics will rule the day because bad politics means bad business or bad life?
I don't think so. And I made this point the last time I was at Press Pass. How we govern ourselves, and that's where politics come in, the polity itself. So as a group, how we govern ourselves, that is politics. Determines the kind of development and economic interest we are going at.
It's not the rallies and
so even in terms of how Parliament accesses funds and does allocation, it's a political process. There is no way you can avoid politics if you're talking about development.
Siasa mbaya, maisha mbaya?
Yes, but what is politics? Is what we are doing politics?
True.
It doesn't seem like any kind of governance. It seems like purely a power play.
Yes.
you know, with eyes on the prize.
Okay.
So if we move to his definition of governance, then we can talk about politics every day 24/7 because we're trying to figure out how to self-govern and be governed better. But if we're hurling insults and tangatangaing or whatever you were saying, kileweke, that,
Yes.
then that's purely a waste of time, an absolute waste of time.
Eric, I mean, Edwin, you've traveled, and I'm not bragging on your behalf, but you've traveled, and you've seen it. I mean, politics as well takes, like in the UK, it takes over, and that's covered fully. So, is it fair that we get that, you know, critique that too much siasa in you know, your media?
Yeah, of course, there's too much siasa, and I don't know whether it's everything we do that is politics or we just have to report it all the time. I don't know. I don't report politics.
Yes, I know.
But it's sad that we have to do politics all the time with everything and every issue, including the new currency.
Politicize.
Like anything that comes out, we just have to politicize it, fight against corruption, projects, roads, anything, church,
Huduma
number, name it, anything becomes politics. That's the saddest bit of it.
Right.
And it's depressing. I mean, if you,
Right.
I would one day speak in my mother tongue.
Well, let's not break into vernacular. But thank you, Edwin, of course, for your thoughts. And you can find more of his work. Of course, you can follow him on Twitter and definitely get his work on Business Daily, on the Daily Nation, on a weekly basis. He's on that. And on Tuesdays, Julie, you have a column on the Standard newspaper.
Yes.
Someone was asking, they've missed seeing you on KTN. They're asking what happened there. But yes.
Chinese, man.
The Chinese took over.
Competition.
And then you can find as well contributions as the commissioning editor at The Conversation, Global Perspectives, Academic Rigor, Journalistic Flair. You can visit that website just to follow up on what they do. This is Conversations on the Continent, internationally, well thought out articles. Yes, Tony Watima, you can follow him as well on Twitter. Find his column every Tuesday on the Business Daily. So expecting something tomorrow on the Business Daily. And yes, you can find me back here on Press Pass next Monday. But yes, I'll be on air tomorrow in terms of reportage. And something that we need to look at, and this is because there's been a lot of talk, even internally, about the job security in the media sector in Kenya and even here at the Nation Media Group. There's a lot of rumors going around, and I can be honest that it is unsettling. Well, something internationally happening. The film and television industry has launched its largest ever survey into the mental health and well-being of its workforce. The industry marks the first phase of the Looking Glass study, led by the film and television charity, following 2,000 calls to its industry support line. The findings will be used to assess the comparative prevalence of mental health problems within the industry, the perceived barriers to support, and recommend potential solutions. An unprecedented period of destabilization within the media industry has created a freelance working culture, diminishing job security and statutory rights for workers in the sector. Last year, a survey from the Sutton Trust, a body that campaigns for social mobility, found most internships in retailing, the arts and the media are unpaid. The recently piloted support line provides free and confidential advice for film and television professionals on issues such as debt, depression, and harassment. According to freelancers who have sought to remain anonymous and who have taken part in the survey, state that they have not had a holiday for years. All of the supposed benefits of being a freelance, such as flexible working hours and varied roles, are rarely exploited due to the worry of not getting another job. The survey will run until July and the results released thereafter. And BBC, STV Channel 4 and Animal Shine Group and Sign World Cinemas are among the media companies who will work on the findings. Something we should probably consider here at the Nation Media Group, given the times and what's happening. And you've heard Edwin himself say it's depressing seeing some of these stories. And imagine if it's depressing for you to hear these stories, imagine what it is, how it is for us to put it together and present it. We probably need a lot of attention in terms of mental health and the talk about job security that we're having around town. My job here is done for the night. Thank you for watching. Thank you on behalf of the team that made this possible, those who are in the behind the scenes who you don't get to see, and my panelists again for the long hours that you've taken just to be here with us. And Julie, please switch us back on. It might be worth your while. Thank you for watching Press Pass. My name is Mark Masai. Good night.